Hi everyone, this is Ronnie, and I want to thank people for watching my videos recently and a lot of positive comments. Really appreciate it, and thank you for letting me, and there's Aubrey in the background, thanks for letting me share some of my ideas with you about this diet and lifestyle, and I hope it helps you in your journey. And now that I've been making more videos, people are starting to ask me some questions about, I got some questions recently, because I think I made a video yesterday about supplements, which always comes up, and some people are asking, well, what about if you're low in this, low in that? What's your thoughts on this particular vitamin or this particular nutrient or whatever? And the one thing I want to say to you is that I'm not here to be your doctor, and I'm not looking to try and give you a diagnosis online without any, information about you or who you are or whatever. And also, I'm not qualified to provide medical advice. So I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a qualified, practitioner of any of these things. I don't have a license to prescribe you. And unlike some other people out there, I'm not going to try and play doctor. I'm not here to play doctor. I'm not going to pretend that I'm a doctor and I'm going to prescribe you with a particular set of medicine or pharmaceuticals or drugs or whatever. Now, you might say that supplements are different. You might say that supplements are to some degree different, and some of these things are just food products. When it comes to the green powders and all that, it's just low quality food products. High quality food products being whole foods, low quality food products being dried powders and things like that. Not that I've never used dried powders. I actually use some like, what do you call it? What's that stuff? Spices, not spices, not the right, seasonings, salt-free seasonings I use sometimes for salads and things like that. So I am not averse to using some products and things like that, but I'm not here to give you advice on that. But I'll give you my general philosophy on supplement and that kind of thing. People were asking about B12. I would never tell you not to take B12. If you're vegan, the general advice is to take a B12 supplement. The textbooks, the mainstream advice tends to suggest that vegans should take a B12 supplement. I'm not against that. Totally not against that information. I'm not trying to tell people to not do that. I've personally not supplemented in the last 8 years. And I've not really had any products that had B12 in them, as far as I know. So I am on that particular journey myself, and I'm curious as to whether the need for higher levels of B12 that some people seem to want or need or whatever, I'm curious about it, and I've been interested to see how long could I go without it before symptoms develop, or whether symptoms ever will develop, and whether it's different for raw vegans. And it might not be. It's just not something that I think about every day because I don't experience symptoms. And some friends and different people say to me, well, you can still be doing damage, nerve damage and things like that. So I just saw, when I got into this, a lot of fear. A lot of people get fear around B12 and different stuff, and I don't know. I wasn't too worried about it. I'd met so many people that hadn't supplemented with a lot of B12 and things like that, so I'm not too worried about it. But I'm definitely not trying to tell you not to take it if you wish to take it. Vitamin D, I would prefer to go somewhere, probably this winter where there's some sunlight. Maybe you can come along. Will we do that? Do you want to have a hangout? We'll go somewhere warm, sunny. Actually, that's a serious thing thinking about right now. Anyway, or sunbeds. I don't know if sunbeds work 100%. So I'm not the expert here on vitamins. I'm not here really to talk about that because it's never been very high level priority for me. I understand if you're worried about this stuff, if you have a terrible diet, you should concern yourself. But what we see is the opposite. We see people making really good improvements in their diet, and then they get freaked out that, oh my God, I'm not eating all that unhealthy food anymore. I must be lacking. It's weird. It's weird. Just think through that. Why are you thinking all those foods that cause disease and inflammation and pain and digestive issues in the body, but they must have had all those nutrients that I actually need? It's silly. It's kind of silly to think like that. So I don't look at health from the perspective of deficiency. Oh my God, I must buy products. I must be a loyal consumer to some supplement business or whatever. All of that stuff was developed. There's an interesting thing online. The guy that started Amway, and Amway, it's like a multi-level marketing. Some people call it pyramid scheme company, whatever. One of the first, or one of the things that many multi-level marketing companies have sold is supplements. Many of them have sold supplements. Why? Because there's a huge markup on them, so that allows them to pay commissions to various different levels of people in the compensation plan. Now, why is there such a high markup? Because they're so cheap. Like, you can buy these things for so cheap because they are cheap. They're a generic product, and you create a brand around it, and you just add on a massive margin because you've created a brand and all that stuff. And he was talking about the fact that they would go out to sell these supplements when they first started, and people didn't believe they needed them, and the doctors didn't believe that people needed them. And he said, I quote, "We had to create that need. We had to create that need," which means they had to make up a story to make you buy it. Billions and billions of sales later, that's how it works. It's like the water industry that made you believe that drinking bottled water or filtered water is better, and to sell all these products. Like natural toothpaste companies that tell you that fluoride is made by the Nazis to control people so that everyone stops taking fluoride toothpaste. It's silly. But people buy into that because we love stories. We love to hear stories. Other examples. I'm not sure, like all the cancer stuff, all the idea that all the cancer treatments are all to make money out of people and they're all terrible, and people just need to take apricot kernels and that'll solve your cancer, like all that stuff. people buy into these things. So it's all silly, it's all stories. But the supplement industry is based on a story, a myth, a lie. Basically, it's made up to scare people into buying a product at a high margin in order to fulfill the needs of a particular business and a particular person's desire for wealth and success and status and whatever else. That's all good if you want to buy into that. I'm not worried about that personally, but I'm also not against supplementation. But I come from it from a perspective that it is a medical issue. This is not something I think that I or just random people should be going, you should take this, you should take that. I have no idea about your background, your health background, your mindset. Because, for example, if you have mental issues, like mental health issues, and eating disorder issues, I'm definitely not going to talk to you about supplementation or mention anything about it. Because I don't know where your mind's going to take it. So I'm going to refer you or ask you to speak to a professional so that they've got the experience. I don't want you to be one of these people that ends up living a life of supplements and you've got $15,000 worth of supplements and you're still freaking out and all you eat is supplements and you're not eating any food anymore and you're getting freaked out. Like, this is irresponsible. People are trying to play doctor and trying to create a whole service and business around playing doctor for raw vegans and pretending that they can diagnose your problems. So irresponsible, unbelievably irresponsible, so damaging, so potentially harmful. One thing, a lot of you might not like Doug Graham for a number of reasons, right? But one thing I learned this from Doug. I actually learned this from a few people. I learned this as well, this kind of lesson when I was doing a law degree years ago. and a lawyer was speaking to us, and he gave us a problem, and he said, how would we, how do you solve this problem or whatever? What's your advice to the client? And I wasn't a very good student, so I had no idea. But everyone, a lot of other people were saying, we do this, we do that, we do this, do that. And he just stood there and went, no, we have to ask more questions. We don't know yet. We have no idea what to say. We have no idea about this situation. And that's wisdom. Wisdom is understanding, is being humble enough to say, I don't know. I need more information. You need to provide more information. I need to ask you more questions. Not, oh, you're feeling tired, you need to take B12. Oh my God, you've got little white bits on your nails. That means you've got low selenium. Like, it's rubbish. It's nonsense. And it's dangerous. So Doug Graham as well, whenever someone would, ask him a question in front of an audience or whatever, and they'd say, I feel like this, I'm like this has happened or whatever, he would say, listen, I'm not getting into your personal health issues right now. I have no idea about your history. I don't know enough about you. I cannot give you a diagnosis, or I cannot prescribe you with anything. I cannot, give you an answer without a thorough, conversation, research, analysis into your situation and all that. So I tend to take that approach as well. And when some of you are saying to me, but I've got low this, I've got low that, my first question to you would be, what was it before you went vegan? Do you know? What was it before you went raw vegan? Any clue? How do you know it wasn't low then? How do you know it's not been low since you were 5 years old? So you're comparing your level to to the average level or whatever it is. And you're trying to make some kind of judgment there. It's an impossible judgment to make without having a comparison of what it was before. Because if you knew what it was before, for sure you knew what it was before. But of course, you never did a blood test when you were unhealthy. You never did a blood test when you were eating junk food. You never bothered. It's only now that you're bothering, for most of you. And now you're saying your B12 is low. Could have been low all the time. Your vitamin D. For many people in this country, it will be low. And it is suggested for people, mainstream advice, to maybe do vitamin D supplementation. But once again, this is not something to play around with. Like, I would much prefer you to go to your local doctor or something, have a conversation, make sure that there's not anything in your background that contraindicates, by which contraindicates means, there's something happening with you, or you're taking a particular medication or whatever it is that means that you shouldn't take another thing because it's contraindicates. It's a problem if you have them together. I don't know what your background is, your medical history. I'm not a medical doctor. I don't want to step in there and start prescribing you with B12 and vitamin D and all these things. Number one, I don't know if you actually need it. I don't know if it'll have a bad effect. I don't know if you'll take too much. I don't know what your mind, but I think the psychology is the thing I'm most worried about. That if I justify your belief that you need a supplement, it's not going to stop there. The next time you feel bad, you're going to look for another supplement. The next time you feel bad after that, you're thinking, no, supplement didn't work, I need to take more supplements. This is not the mindset to get into. All I can really help you with is the raw vegan diet, going towards what I believe, what I have belief, experience, justification to believe, evidence to believe to some degree, not mainstream information, but to some degree. And I do think our diet fits in with the mainstream healthy diet, which is a diet abundant in fruits and vegetables, high in carbohydrate, low in saturated fat. That's what a raw vegan diet is, full of fresh food, full of fruits and vegetables. So, these questions would be irresponsible for me to answer. I don't like seeing people online just telling everyone to do that stuff. It's dangerous. The people that are making a business out of it, if you're not qualified in it, if it's not something you're like properly qualified in doing, it's immoral. To me, it's immoral that people do that and scare people into thinking they need supplements and then pretend to be a doctor and diagnose them, or they need herbs or they need whatever. And it just scares people. It fuels people's paranoia that they can't eat a healthy diet. You know, that they have to go back to eating dead animals and stuff, dead animal body parts, in order to get fat related hormones that the human body creates already. So you really need to, when people ask about DHA and ALA and EPA and blah 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 and all these fat things, these are just things the body makes. I don't know why anyone gets worried about that. Cholesterol is something the body makes. Saturated fat is something your body makes. All these keto, carnivore people, it's like, oh, you need cholesterol. Yeah, body makes it. You know, like, you need to have this knowledge so that when they make these videos, you're like, why? Why do we need to have cholesterol? We make it. Do they not know that? Do they not understand that? So we need essential fats. Those are in all plants, basically in all foods, in all living things. It's not something to worry about. This is the real thing about nutrition, right? Deficiency is not really an issue. Deficiency isn't really an issue for. You can almost do any diet, and you're unlikely to get deficient. In terms of like symptoms of actual deficiency, diseases. But that's different to like optimal levels of health, and most people can't even. Most people, you know, people aren't eating enough carbohydrate to satisfy carbohydrate needs for the highest level of function. Most people haven't felt their highest level of function. They're not eating enough fruit. They're not eating enough vegetables. They're not sleeping enough. So, how are people meant to be able to tell if they're deficient or not, or they get the slightly low levels of this or that? Like, no one has a clue. And these paranoias that get fueled about it's all silly stuff. It really is silly. You know, I believe if you want to go and eat a meat diet, you can do it. If you want to eat just meat or something, or just bread, and there's a guy that eats just macaroni cheese, there's people that eat just jam sandwiches, there's a guy that ate potatoes for a year, you know, and Ann Osborne's ate one fruit for 6 months at a time. You can do that kind of stuff. Deficiency is not a huge risk. You know, it really isn't. And the idea you're going to get eating the foods with the most nutrition is ridiculous. And you've got to really feel that. Now, the environmental ones that Kevin was pointing out in one of the comments, environmental vitamins, vitamin D, vitamin B12, yeah, and I get all this stuff, like, oh, if the water wasn't washed, we would have plenty of B12 in the water, and I don't know if I really believe in that stuff. I'm just thinking about the fact that our body all over is so packed with bacteria that are constantly creating B12 all the time. I don't know. But I'm not against supplementing if that's what you want to look into and do. I wouldn't suggest you go and research it yourself. I would suggest you maybe go to your doctor, speak to them about it. As a first off, just to figure out, you know, is this something that it's okay for you to do? Are you in the right state of mind? Are you physically okay? Are you taking any medication? Do you have a medical history? What's the situation? Have a conversation with them. Hopefully you live in a country where you get free advice, but maybe you go to a country you have to pay your doctor like $100 just to speak to them or whatever. Fair enough. But so that's when you realise that's why certain things thrive in other countries, because people are paying for doctors. Anyway, do that. I think before anything, it could be a medical issue. If you think you're low in this and that, it could be a medical issue. So figure out if it's a medical issue first. Could it be a symptom of something else? Low B12 could be a symptom of a lot of other things. So you might want to work that out. I mean, if you've got low anything, if somehow you figure that out, maybe you've done a blood test, maybe it was just low that day on the day of the blood test. These things will fluctuate and go up and down all the time. So don't have fear, guys. Be practical, be pragmatic, get your test done if you want. I think it's worth going to the doctor to work out if it's a medical, like a physical, medical, genetic issue before you do anything else. and don't stress so much about it. You can go a long time without all the perfect nutrition. People go through an entire life with a terrible diet. You know, you're not going to fall apart in a couple of days eating fruit, so just relax. What you're really going to feel, if you do feel deficient often, is that you're not eating enough calories from fruit. That's a common mistake. And but just to reiterate, and this has been a long video, but I am not providing medical advice. I'm not providing you on supplementation advice. I'm not providing you on how much. And I know I've got opinions about supplements, but it's just not even something that comes up in my daily reality that much. So anyway, thank you for watching. Let me know if this has helped you out or not, or do you want me to try and go into research all the supplement stuff and tell you all what to do? I don't really want to do that. I would much rather convince you completely that you need to stay away from these other terrible disease-causing, inflammatory, health-destroying foods, so that you don't think, oh, I used to give up that, but I think I need to go back to eat that because there's fat-soluble blah blah blahs in it. Oh great, you get some fat-soluble blah blah blah, but you cause heart disease. Fantastic, brilliant, great, excellent. You've raised your B12 level, but you've caused early onset diabetes. Amazing, brilliant. You know, you can go a long time with a low B12 level, but diabetes, heart disease, arthritis, cancer, these things aren't so great. So you kind of, whatever. So thank you for watching. We'll see you in another video.